Gas producers and developers were scrambling overnight to understand the impact of the federal government's newly released mandatory code of conduct for the gas industry. The centrepiece of the code is a price cap on uncontracted gas at $12 a gigajoule. Joining me now is our business reporter, Ed Boyd. Ed, gas producers were worried this code would add more layers of regulation and stifle investment, but it appears it is not as bad as expected, and they're actually pretty happy about it.
Yeah, look, this is a bit of a surprise. So this code has been in the works for quite a long period of time. It was preliminary announced in December last year with the price cap on gas announced back then by the Prime Minister and Chris Bowen as well. And now they've actually released the actual code. So this has been months in the making. Gas companies and producers have been really worried about what's going to be in it, whether it's going to be really hurting their margins and potentially their profits and getting them to pull out of Australia and move their investments overseas. Now, the code was only released early yesterday afternoon. It's a 60-page document. These gas companies are still going through it. But I spoke to an analyst last night who basically says they're going to be really happy with what's in it. It basically represents a big walk back from the federal government around some of the things that they were suggesting with this code for $12 a gigajoule of gas. According to Saul Cavendish, an oil and gas analyst, he basically says only 3 LNG projects are actually going to be affected by this price cap, and they're the ones that are up at Gladstone in Queensland. The rest of the gas producers across the country are going to feel little impact at all around this price cap on gas. So just take a listen to Saul here with his comments from overnight.
And so just to be clear, what this code actually represents is a complete walk back of the gas price fixing policy, because what it does is it actually makes exempt nearly every single player in the market from their own policy as small producers, and that includes even the big producers in Bass Strait. They were actually exempt from this policy going forward, and the only projects this policy actually impacts is the 3 Queensland LNG projects, but the government's only extracted some very minor concessions from them, which would really within business as usual.
But I was also chatting to Saul, and he basically says the damage has been done for Australia and its reputation as a producer of LNG gas. Just last week, Laura, we heard from the Japanese government basically saying Australia is now not our preferred partner, export partner for Japan buying LNG. They're looking at sources elsewhere. And also South Korean business lobby groups have spoken about this a couple of months ago when I was over there, saying they're really concerned with Australia's gas policies and how gas prices here can be very unpredictable. So this is obviously a problem Australia needs to fix. And this gas code here hopefully goes the right way to helping gas producers feel more certainty and being able to invest again in the Australian market, because we're well behind when it comes to gas development, and we know there's going to be a gas supply shortage very soon on the East Coast.
Okay, just quickly then, if this is a massive walk back that has not been done quite as publicly as we would have expected, what does that do to prices at a retail level?
Well, look, retail prices should hopefully not be going anywhere anytime soon. Hopefully they're going to be staying at prices of gas are still reasonably expensive at the moment, but they're not at the $12 a gigajoule level, as far as I'm aware, on the east coast of Australia. But it was interesting that the code was released yesterday with no press conference from the Energy Minister, Chris Bowen. Normally he would be fronting up for these sorts of things. Also, we had the strong comments from Japan just 6 days ago, basically talking down Australia as a producer of gas, and we haven't really had much response from the government on that one either.
Whew, okay, we'll see if we can get him on. We'll see if we can take on that challenge for you, Ed. Let's shift topics a little bit. The Treasurer Jim Chalmers expected to announce the future of the Reserve Bank Governor, Phil Lowe, and it could be this week, after his speech tomorrow, perhaps?
It could be after his speech tomorrow. We know he's speaking at 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon in Brisbane. It could even be before his speech. The Treasurer could pop up in the morning in Brisbane before the speech. But look, there's obviously a range of candidates that we know about that have been spoken publicly about that are vying for the role. You've got Phil Lowe on the left there, who's the current governor. Jenny Wilkinson is reportedly the #1 choice. You've got Michelle Bullock, the current Deputy Governor of the RBA. Guy Debelle, the former Deputy Governor of the RBA, now at Fortescue. You've got David Gruen and Stephen Kennedy. So you've got a few public servants in there and a couple of either RBA or former RBA and current RBA employees. But there was also one person that took her hat out of the race yesterday. That was Lucy Ellis, the bank's former head of economic forecasting, who's now joining Westpac as their chief economist in the next couple of months. But look, this is going to be a really significant announcement for the Treasurer. There's been a lot of talk about what's going to happen with the Reserve Bank over the past year or so since the Labor government have come in. They've ordered this review into the RBA. That's now come out. Governor Lowe's going to talk about the response to the review tomorrow, and we should probably know his future in the next 3 or 4 days.
He'll be asked about it, that's for sure. Just quickly, Ed, who's your pick? Who do you think it's going to be?
Look, this is left field, but I think it's going to be Guy Debelle. That's who I'm going for.
Wow. Okay. Well, he's certainly got a lot of fans out there, so we will see. Ed, thanks so much. We'll check in with you soon.